Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Tuesday morning Grand Rounds. It's my privilege to introduce our two speakers today. Main speaker will be Dr. Karen Yeager, this is kind of part two of a Grand Rounds we did last month on quality improvement. Dr. Yeager is going to be our primary speaker. She's originally from Houston, Texas, and graduated from medical school at University of North Texas at Fort Worth. She then moved to Phoenix to do her residency and fellowship training here at Phoenix Children's. After fellowship, she completed an MS degree and board certification in clinical informatics in June of 2022. Dr. Yeager is passionate about bedside medical education and loves teaching residents and fellows, as well as leveraging data analytics solutions to improve patient care and workflows. As such, she joined the clinical informatics team here at Phoenix Children's in October of 2023, and she's also the director of the longitudinal clinical informatics track for residents and fellows. Outside of work, Dr. Yeager loves to bake, travel, and do-it-yourself crafts. She spends most of her time with her husband, 2 kids, and 2 Labradoodles. Okay, she will be joined with support this morning from Dr. Yeager Allie, who was our main speaker last month. Dr. Yeager Allie is the author of Tayo and the Super Produce Pals at the Grocery Store. She's board certified in internal medicine and a lifestyle medicine physician focusing on advanced high-value whole person care through quality improvement, education, and well-being. She's a Lean Six Sigma Black Belt and has award-winning quality improvement initiatives across multiple healthcare systems, integrating nutrition and lifestyle medicine into primary care and driving practice transformation. So without anything further, Dr. Yeager, the podium is yours.
Right, can you guys hear me? There's only a few of us in the room, but that's great. And I wanted to mention a quick call out that we're going to have the chat enabled for the Zoom audience. So somebody in the chat say something so we know that it's working. But that's a feature that we're going to use this session because we're going to have a lot of interactive elements. So thank you everyone for coming. Special thanks to everyone in the audience. So today's session, I'm really excited about talking about this. We're going to be focusing on data literacy for quality improvement. And I think this is an area that sometimes can have like a cloud of mystery and be a little bit daunting if you're new to quality improvement. So hopefully we will demystify, we will get our hands dirty, look at some data, talk about some things and go from there. This is, like Dr. Hartley mentioned, the second part of a 2-part series. So if you haven't checked out Dr. Allie's first part from last month, definitely go check that out. It's a great overview on nuts and bolts of QI, motivation, how to get started, and really like the storytelling pieces of understanding your process. And then today we're going to continue the story with our data. Before we dive into this, I really want to start with our mission moment. This visual is our 4 areas of focus that was outlined by Mr. Niggins for 2026, our year of safety. And in keeping with our mission of improving the health of a generation by being the best at getting better, what does that actually mean in the domain of quality and safety, right? Like quality and safety is that first area of focus. And what does that actually look like? The engine for that improvement, I would argue, is quality improvement. Like that's how we become the best at getting better, is by doing this work, good QI methodology. So I'm really excited about talking about this in relation to this. I've got some MVPs in the room. I wanted to really call out some of the QI leadership that we have institutionally. Joanna Kramer is here. She is one of our general pediatricians in the ambulatory space and a GME QI coach, which means that she can help you from project inception and brainstorming all the way through execution, presenting at quality day, and then pursuing MOC credit through the ABP. There are several divisions currently, like GI is one, Pulm is one, that are currently pursuing this. So this is not just for the residents and general pediatricians in the room. All of us that are doing our safety, our quality and safety projects this year can be taking advantage of that opportunity with Joanna and all of the knowledge that she has. Dr. Engel is also in the room, general pediatrician, hospitalist medicine staff, and also the director for quality transformation, new role that he's going to be really helping align our organization, all of our quality projects across PCH around our enterprise mission and goals of the institution. And then Dr. Kelleher and Dr. Zorn, who who have been working in this space for many, many years, are heavily involved in our patient safety initiatives, in making sure that we are adequately compensated and staying in compliance with our regulatory requirements, and we get compensated for the care that we provide, and also keeping a pulse on all of our safety initiatives, hacks, things like that. So this team has, between them, decades of QI experience. So any of the projects that you have ideas for, they are so approachable. They're so willing to chat with you, talk about next steps and things like that. So, and then of course, for any data needs, my team is ready and available. So here are our learning objectives for this talk. I'm not going to read these verbatim, but two things that I really want you to take away from this talk: how understanding your workflow and improvement methodology will inform your data plan and your interventions. So you crafted you identified your problem, you studied your process, you designed your intervention cycles, and now you've got some data. And then what is that data telling you? So you've done all of that great methodology, and now you're going to leverage that data to the next step. And then available resources. I mentioned our QI champions, the data analytics team at PCH Children's. We have a strong but mighty team of many people who are ready to help you visualize and leverage your data. And then I'm also going to be showing some AI tools that you can use to make your life easier. Okay. Let's do the Slido. So this is pre-talk and post-talk. It says post-talk, but pre-test, I feel comfortable conceptualizing and executing a QI project on a scale of 1 to 5. Hopefully this works. Oh yeah, got some answers. Great. Give people an opportunity to answer. I think that's going to be the same question. So then maybe just towards that. I'm sorry. Yeah. Why don't start slowing down? All right, we got about 33 responses, and it seems like over half of people are at the 2, so that's great. I'll see how we do towards the end. Okay. All right. Okay. So our first objective, we're going to talk. Did you? Oh, great. First objective, defining before you build. I think so in my role, working with data teams across all projects. So I work on inpatient, outpatient, hospital service lines, procedural projects. And one of the most common kind of traps that I see is people have identified that there's a problem, and they have recognized that, oh, this process is not working. But the only part of the problem that they see is their role in it and their piece of it. And so it's like, let's build a dashboard so we can fix this problem in this way. Let's model an AI or use some predictive analytics, or build an alert so that we stop missing this intervention or this step in the process. So the tool is picked before the problem is really understood, or your measure is chosen because that's what's available, what's measurable, and not because that's the one that's actually going to address the problem that you have. And so then the result becomes a lot of activity, like 3, 6, 9 months of activity that hasn't changed your outcome very much. And then you're going back to the drawing board to figure out, okay, now why didn't that intervention that very clearly is part of the process didn't work? So what I want us to move towards is identifying, like, if you have seen that there's an issue, you know that there's a problem in the process, what exactly is going wrong? For whom is it going wrong? How big is the problem? Define the gap and the population, understand as much about it as you can, then let that question dictate the measure, and then choose the right tool to address that specific problem. I'm gonna hang on to this. There was a little mini breakout session to look at this, but I want us to look at just the before and after. The bar chart says that you've got this gray line, and then there was some intervention, and the blue line represents a month of data after the intervention. So with this, just the pre and post rough numbers, visually, how many of you guys would say that there was an improvement? I think just from the data that's provided, you said there's like, and we said we're talking about compliance. Just from the data that's provided, I would say most of us would say like compliance improved, right? So I want you to hang on to that, and we're going to come back to that with an example. I'm going to put hospital medicine in the hot seat for a minute, which is okay because I asked Dr. Engel. So this is a project that is going on right now this year. Are we hitting the pathway target? And remember that what we're measuring is compliance with a pathway. This project is looking at skin and soft tissue infections and total antibiotic duration. So this run chart from year to date, January, this is true data. Their baseline was around 43% compliance with the specific measure of percent of inpatient skin and soft tissue encounters with a total antibiotic duration of 6 or less days. Firstly, that is a tough measure. Like, that's hard to achieve in like our current practice environment. And there's multiple components to it, right? First, you're looking at the population of skin and soft tissue infections. And then of that, there's some patients that have been admitted. So there's an inpatient stay, then there's a completing therapy outpatient, and things like that. So from this visual, charting it over time, raise your hand if you think that their compliance has improved. And in the chat, if anyone wants to.
To your previous question, someone responded randomly.
Okay, all right. So somebody in the chat was thinking that the bar graph was random chance and not an improvement. So we're gonna hang on to that. All right, so let's drill down to, this is the same exact data set, January to July, with the drill down of where the antibiotic days come from. That horizontal line is the 6-day mark. The blue bar graphs represent the total inpatient days, and the bronzish, I don't know what color you would call that, represent their outpatient prescriptions. So now this tells you a different story, right? It's the same encounters, but it's re-asked. Where did the days come from? Inpatient stays already comply. 94% of all inpatient encounters are within that 6-day duration. The discharge prescription is the driver. So now you have a totally different problem that you can work on, and this frames your intervention. And that's kind of the direction that we're going. The problem is defined, and the lever to fix the problem is a little bit more clear, but is it totally clear? What are some, in the room and in the chat, what are some questions that you want to ask now? What I've told you is that compliance is dropping, and that from the data, it seems that most of the encounters that fall out of compliance, it's due to their outpatient prescription. So what are some follow-up questions before you act? Dr. Kapadia.
Who's doing the outpatient prescription? And are they even in this project?
Are they even in this project? They're a very great question. So what are the options for people writing the outpatient prescription? Very obviously, a lot of the people in the room, right? Residents, hospitals fellows. Remember, there's a whole, going back into the cobwebs of my residency days, there's a teach team and a non-teach team. So there's a whole proportion of patients that are being taken care of apart from the resident teach team. So what proportion of these encounters are on teach teams and not teach teams? And then those prescriptions are written by a different group, the attendings and fellows, right, in the chat.
You're getting great responses. Someone asked, what are the hours of the pharmacy? Another person, can people get prescriptions due to insurance issues?
Great, all great questions. So now this kind of shows you, now you've identified a problem, but it doesn't just stop there. You have to drill down another level. And that doesn't mean you have to do a whole big song and dance, right? Some of it is just like the data team, for one, can help you. We can very easily show you like which encounters are residents and which ones are non-teach teams. We can show you prescription writer who is writing the prescriptions, and then you can identify, and then what the duration of all of those prescriptions is. So that kind of starts forming in your mind, oh, if I were to make an intervention, okay, 80% of the prescriptions are coming from non-teach teams that are out of compliance, that are like 5-6 days. So maybe we, in division meeting, work on RX favorites for defaulting those durations for the common antibiotics. It's like 3 or 4 common antibiotics for outpatient, right? Or actually 95% of the prescriptions are on teach teams. So maybe at resident block conference, we're going to do some RX favorite work, right? Defaulting things like that. So then it becomes very clear what your step is. And this is the craft of data storytelling, moving from, okay, something's not working, to what's not working specifically and how do we take action, right? So matching the tool to the question, how do you then do that? What are the right tools that are available? We showed examples of descriptive analytics, that run chart, the bar graphs, those are all examples of descriptive analytics that tell you what happened. There is something happened, what was it? Run charts, rates, trends, data over time. This is almost always the best first step. And this is also very low tech, right? Like you can do this on the back of a napkin or on your notepad in rounds, right? Like a Pareto chart. I remember I was on a shift and I was having issues with rooms getting turned over because of, like, I discharged a patient and then they were sitting there, they weren't turning over the room. And I just, on a Post-it note, started tallying. Okay, that patient didn't discharge because they needed vitals repeated. That one didn't discharge because registration wasn't completed. This one was waiting on a point of care test to come back. And I just did a Pareto chart of like failure modes on a Post-it. And then I went back, I was like, okay, how do we solve the problem, right? So this can be very low tech and approachable. Dashboards are what's happening now. This live monitoring of known metrics related to your process. So the most successful dashboards, and Dr. Kabadia is in the room so he can attest to this. The most successful dashboards are when you know your process well, you know all the steps of your process, and you know who the responsible parties are, because then you tailor your dashboard to be a working model of a visual representation digitally of your process. And then, okay, the case manager has a working page of like, these are the things that they need to follow up on for DME orders, things like that. Then the nurses have their call log of like making appointments and following up on lab things. And then physicians have these visuals to monitor A1C and things like that. I'm just making stuff up, but then you can actually see what's happening now and the value adds from people actually using it. And then we have ways of extending that with like email digest and working lists going to people, direct targeted groups. So it's great for surveillance, but not as good for discovery if you don't have the process identified yet. And then machine learning and AI models, what's likely next? Now this is great work that like teams like the CLNAs, Dr. Ricard in the ICU, a lot of people are working on, of taking large aggregates of data and predicting pattern finding, what's going on. So you need a lot of volume, you need validation. And because of that, it's not usually the right first step, right? It's not usually going to give you the information you need to solve a problem in real time. All right, let's do a quick question. This is a question. It's going to be on I'm going to read it and show you the answers. Your division wants to know whether a recent order set change actually improved time to antibiotics for febrile neutropenia and whether the improvement was held over the last 6 months. You have 18 months of time-stamped ED encounters, which is the most appropriate first analytic approach. Machine learning model, real-time predictive risk score dashboard, plotting on an SPC chart or a control chart, or running a t-test to compare the mean before and after. Do I click it again? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions in the chat that I didn't address? Okay. Okay, about 20 out of 23 people. Couple seconds for those last stragglers, and then let's see where we're at. Okay, so most people said C, and that is correct. Great job. All right, so the question is about change over time and whether it was sustained, and that's a great question for a control chart to tell you, because it'll tell you whether or not you have trends, whether your process is due to common cause variation or special cause variation. We will talk about those things in a little bit more detail. I don't want to spend too much time on this because Dr. Ali did a great job covering this material, but as a refresher, to have a great complete picture of your process and your interventions around like what are you going to measure to see if you are making improvement, we call it the measure family. So there's an outcome measure, a process measure, and a balancing measure. The outcome measure is, did the patient actually do better? And sometimes this can be really hard in standard QI to say, like we all know quality improvement in medicine is different than quality improvement on like an assembly line or a machine process, because medicine is messy and there's so many confounding data points and special cause, like special circumstances in every case, that sometimes outcome measures can be estimations, approximations. You're doing, you know, like rates on very rare events. So the result is what you actually care about, but this sometimes takes a long time to figure out and can be difficult to measure. An example would be NICU extubation. So you would do a rate over like extubations per 100 days, so you can standardize it rather than just like saying this year there was 5 extubations, unplanned extubations, next year there were 6. So does that mean it got worse? But it depends on the event days. Process measures, did we do the thing that actually moved the needle? The step you changed, what you measure directly. This is a part that's usually easier to control because it's part of your workflow. So for the unplanned extubation model, it would be adherence to a bundle. So 2-person cares, x-rays, standardized taping, things like that. And a balancing measure is, did we break anything? The consequences that you would otherwise miss. And sometimes this can be, you know, in my world, things like alert fatigue over people being overburdened with EHR tasks or flow sheet documentation, things like that. On the clinical bedside, NICU, unplanned extubations, is there oversedation leading to pressure injuries? And no one's getting unplanned extubation because they're zonked, but then they're getting pressure injuries. So that would be a balancing measure. Now, coming up with this measure family can sometimes be challenging, especially if you're just starting out. I want to introduce you to tools that can help, such as AI. And disclosure, I'm not paid by anyone or I wish, but ChatGPT and Claude are not subsidizing this talk, but I do use them to help as a brainstorming activity. And we can talk about that, but there are some guardrails I want to introduce. There's lots of mnemonics out there for what we call prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is becoming an entire science. This is just one example that kind of helps you craft what you're asking the large language model to get an output. And so context, what's the clinical problem of the population, the role, who are you, and who do you want the model, what the model is going to model its voice after, what's the ask that you want it to produce, the format that you want the outputs to come back in, and then you take it back and test, because then there's always iterations, right? Like the LLM is taking your prompt thoughts and then taking it to another conclusion, but that conclusion may not be the right conclusion. You know your process, you know the local environment, you know the limitations and the special circumstances. So the output needs to be vetted against that lens. So we're going to build a prompt together. So that's going to be, we can break out into groups to talk about this because I know there's quite a few of us in the room. But let's work on coming up with the prompt and then somebody volunteer and we will put it into Claude and see what the output looks like. I also have an example, but I want you guys to get to practice doing this. I will say with the caveat from Dr. Samadar, I know the first year residents in terms of AI use for clinical uses, there's some milestones that they want you to meet before you're using this in your actual projects and at the bedside. So just be aware of that as you're taking it out of here. But I still think it's a great tool and something that is going to be a part of healthcare for the foreseeable future. So let's play with it a little bit. And in the chat, I would love to see some craft prompts in the chat that we can put in. I will put one into Claude and see what it comes up with. So I'll give us a few minutes for that. I'm gonna go around. Do we want to break up like maybe one of y'all QI gurus? And then I'm gonna also hand out I'll have Ozzy hand out the next breakout session, so that we'll do that also. But yeah, and I have it pulled up. I'm gonna pull it up actually.
Give us a specific.
All right, I've got my Claude ready to go.
They give us like a project.
I'm gonna give us like maybe like 5 minutes, say, and then we'll put the prompt in and review the output because there's some discussion there too.
Some of the patients that are getting.
Yeah.
Did we
have enough?
No, we can't do that. Quality improvement, don't upgrade to 25. No, that's not good. So we're trying to figure out a QI project. No, no,
Yeah.
so we're like,
Literally.
I could.
No, it's only like a couple of years. Like I'm still here, you know.
Easy enough. No, my actual one. So now, patients not getting small power because they're too much.
It was like
That's what I'm trying to look up.
Right, this from July, run it into place.
that is right.
Context.
Doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Something that maybe.
Here's context. New patients. Cancel. Which is from. The other thing is like, the other thing is that, like put in for a referral and for later delegate.
We haven't really started doing it.
Yeah, sure. Swiss loves too. What I like to do.
Getting close.
Initial business. Yeah. Bill rate, I don't.
Are you in the office today? Joanne, when I think of it, Joanne's office. You have to see it in the office.
So like, I don't know, but like one thing. Still like,
I do see that.
yeah, you're thinking of car, right? Drinking one. That's what I thought. Did you do PDF? Like. I'm thinking for role like that to just give it more. Which I guess in context would be more. Like first visit showing you. And prevent same cancellation.
So when I minimize this, my Claude doesn't show up. Do I need to go?
What the problem is.
Go this way? Oh, I do.
To be like what?
But then I'm gonna.
Oh, ask. Yeah, so please evaluate. Cancellation. And
Okay, okay. Just wanted to make sure.
I'm not eat them like all my.
I give everybody like 30 more seconds to wrap up, and we're gonna do a prompt. Yeah, just like a prompt for measure. Any project you want, well, I guess that's. Just some ideas for projects.
So I.
What's your idea?
Well, okay, I'm hearing some really good discussion. Hopefully there's some good thoughts on the chat as well. So I'm gonna bring everybody back. And then we're gonna go, sorry, I'm like now playing like the mouse game, trying to find my mouse. But so again, ChatGPT, Claude, you can use anything you want. I tend to use Claude a lot because I use the chat and the co-work features. The nice thing about, I'm just gonna show you one thing, hopefully it'll show. You can add connectors to your LLM that definitely can help. So like you can see one of the connectors that I almost always have on, you can turn it on and off, is PubMed and Elicit. So then, you know, the issue of large language models having hallucinations when you're doing like research questions and asking for articles, and then the citations aren't real. So this has access to PubMed, and there's still things behind a paywall are still going to be behind a paywall, so you're not going to get full text articles for everything, but it has access to the actual PubMed IDs and also the abstract. So that really helps the accuracy of your searches. Yes.
Plot access through Phoenix Children's.
Not the paid tier. You get, so there's a free tier, and then there's the paid tier. There are no corporate subscription. I will say that the secure AI on Index is an Anthropic or Claude product. It's a different model than what's available open source online. So the capabilities are very different.
What is secure AI on Index?
On Index, also on the internet, there's a little tab on the first page of secure AI. So you can do things like putting institutional data, because that is an air-gapped AI. So you can put PHI in the one that's on the internet safely. The capability, like it's not going to be able to do run charts, for example, things like that. But hey, can you help me like do this institutional policy review, rewriting emails, things like that? It's good for that. So
It's just the one that's in our EMR, the one where, you turn on transcription and then it summarizes which one is?
So those are also AI vendors, and so the ambient listening scribe, that's a vendor that is an AI that works with large language model, and then there's also an AI chart prep that I will show you that's done kind of locally in-house, and I'll give you some resources on getting one of those made.
Someone asked, can you set up the PubMed connectors to go through our U of A library account to expand the articles not behind the paywall?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't, it uses, like, you can turn on your PubMed like login, but it's using PubMed's AI connector. So it's like connecting to all the abstracts that are available. Yeah. But then once you have your PubMed ID, your PMIDs, then it's much easier to get full text articles from that as well. Yeah. Great question. Okay. Anything else on that before I move on? I know that was a little bit of a tangent, but I think it's like something that a lot of people don't know about is really helpful. So prompts. Anybody want to share their AI prompt for a measure family or a project to help them with their measures? Don't everybody speak up at once.
I've got one that
Okay.
I would love help with,
Yeah.
just reducing same day open charts. Generally.
So I am a general pediatrician role, right? Oh gosh, I can't even see what I'm writing, so bear with me. Working in a clinic, and I want to reduce
Open charts.
the rate of
Day open charts.
same day open charts in my practice. Give me a measure family on this problem. And now you want it in the format, right? So you've done your role, what the ask is, the format. So you can do something as like in a Word document. I like to see things in Excel just because I think it's easier to edit and see the columns and things like that. Excel format with outcome balancing and process measures in Smart AIM formats. And then what is your baseline? Because remember, for Smart AIM that Dr. Beasy covered, there's several pieces of that, but a baseline is really, do you have a general idea of what your baseline of open charts is? Mm-hmm.
Maybe
7%.
Oh, I'm sorry. So you want a percentage to improve, or the baseline percentage?
A baseline percentage of like, and then
Yeah, I would say probably
15%. Okay. All right. Let's see what we come up with. And while that's thinking, So you guys don't need to think about like, it'll like do some explanations and blah, 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 but that's not that interesting. So while it's thinking, I can go back to the unplanned extubation. Go back, oh, hold on. Because I don't want to look on that screen. Look behind me the whole time. Okay. Oh. Yeah. So unplanned extubation is a work example for you to look at while Claude is thinking. So outcome measure, we talked about unplanned extubations per 100 bent days. The benchmark is under 1, so essentially 0. But from SPS, the rate is 0.53. Our local rate is 0.58, which seems like not a lot of room for improvement, but when you're talking about per 100 bed days, that's several cases per year, right? So we have opportunity to improve. How do we improve? We talked about adherence to the bundle. So anatomic reference point documented, 2% repositioning, and common cause analysis or apparent cause analysis of every event. And then the balancing measure could be rate of pressure related and injuries, ventilatory days, sedation exposure, things like that. So this is an example of a measure of gambling. Let's see if Claude is, oh, there we go. Let's go over here and see. So then it's thought for not too long of a time. And you can see the Smart Aim in Excel, and then you can download that. I'll just pull it up on, see if I can make it bigger so it's a little bit easier to see on Google Drive. There you go. So it'll give you an output like this, but then a couple things to look at. It doesn't know, we didn't put in any information about what our EHR is. We didn't put any information about like what the volume of clinic encounters is per day. We didn't put information about like how many providers this is, it's one provider, things like that. So you have your Smart Aim format, reduce the rate of same day open or unclosed charts among all clinic encounters from baseline of 15 to less than or equal to 5 by target date. And it's giving you a range and you can just enter that. As measured monthly by EHR and closures or basket inbox reporting without increasing average visit length, after hours documentation time, or decreasing note quality. So it gives you some ideas for measure for balancing it right there. So pretty good. And then you can see how that's an example of just something that can help kind of reduce your burden as you're getting started in these things.
Karen, can you go to that next tab that says measure family?
Yeah.
My concern with this was like, it did give me outcome process and balancing measures, but now here they are.
Yeah. And so, and this is where I would say, so I see stuff like this at like daily, and then but you have to proof it, because some of the stuff it'll give you is not realistic for the local process. So that's where you have to read everything with a critical lens. You are the expert. You know the process. You know your process. You've studied what the other workflows are related to this process. So read this with a critical eye. Like Dr. Vanessa might know a lot about average hours in like pajama time per provider, how many times she's charting per day after hours, but she may not know what her colleagues in the clinic are doing, right? And that might be very widely. And so I think this is a great starting point. I mean, think about how many hours this would take to put together. And also, do you need 4 process measures and 5 balancing measures? So this is brainstorming. Think of put AI in the right perspective. It's an assistant, it's a brainstorming tool, but it is not your boss. You're the boss. So you take what is helpful from this and disregard what's not. And I would say a better project would be something that has more simple measures. Like if I see a project that's trying to measure 5 different process measures at once right out the gate, like that team is going to be stressed and they are not going to be able to act on every single one of those pieces, right? So it is better to simplify. So yeah, great call out. Thank you so much. All right, let's go back to, I don't even know which slide is the right. Let's go with that. See, okay, great. All right, so this is just a reminder to trust but verify. When you are using AI tools, always de-identify all the PHI stays out. I cannot stress that enough. That is a pretty big deal and can lead to complications for you as a user and also for the institution. So all information that goes into an AI needs to be de-identified. If you have any questions about that, please reach out to somebody from the data team or myself or your PI to help you proof your inputs first. Citations can be fabricated. I gave you a little bit of a hack for how that can be mitigated, but you still need to check and go to your source material. And the team still owns the measure, like we talked about. Don't feel like just because you got it on Claude or ChatGPT and it said it was a good idea, that it's a good idea. Other ideas for places that AI can reduce the cognitive burden for your QI. I've linked in the slide the PCH AI policy. Yes, we have an AI policy. So go check that out. But there are ways that you can leverage these AI tools to make your project a little bit easier. So you can put in de-identified data like counts of encounters and yes, no compliance, etc. And an SPC chart and run charts can be created for you. Process mapping. I do this a lot when projects are getting started and people are really good at describing workflows, but they don't have a visual representation. And when you then so Dr. Kramer really knows her workflow in the clinic for a certain problem. She's telling me about it, but then we have to translate this into a dashboard and across the team that includes clinic stakeholders, IT people for a note, data analysts for the dashboard, and other stakeholders outside the clinic environment who don't know her workflow. So a process map is a great way to describe what are you trying to achieve, what does it look like now, where is it going, and that can be created by the LLM while you describe it narratively. Key driver diagrams, same thing. We talk about what are you could take that same prompt that we just did about open charts and say, can you create a key driver diagram with change ideas? And these are kind of like parts of the process, and it'll give you a draft that you can then edit. So again, these are all just starting points, and then you go to the next step. And fishbones and Pareto's we talked about, like that is also something that you can get a first draft of from AI. Again, a mark to de-identify. Remember when you get like outputs from dashboards in particular, the patient list, there's that little hyperlink. That hyperlink goes to Smart Chart. That is all PHI. So that whole column needs to be deleted. Account numbers, MRNs, date of births, that sort of thing. Okay. All right. So let's talk about Signal. We're going to shift gears a little bit and turn to the sheets that you have kind of all around the room. We're going to talk about signs of real change, because now you have data. You've done your measure family. You started measuring your change intervention, and you've got some data. You've got like several weeks of data. So what is that telling you? Has there been an improvement, and how do you know? So there's lots of different ways that that you can look at this. There's for control charts, there's up the center line and then upper and lower control limits. And then there's multiple different signs of special cause variation. I listed 3 here, a point above the 3 sigma, and a shift is 6 points in a row above the center line. A trend is 5 points in one direction or another. So remember, that could be an improvement or a decline. So we're going to take a look. We're going to answer this question, and then we're going to take a look at the sheets that are all around the room, and it'll be available in the chat. And we're going to kind of see what is your process telling you, or what is your data telling you. A control chart with a previously stable baseline. A compliance metric shows 9 consecutive points above the center line after an intervention. No single point crosses the upper control limit. The best interpretation of this control chart is what? Common cause variation, no real change has occurred. A special cause signal, the process has shifted. No, not interpretable until a point exceeds the control limit, or likely a data entry error. The data should be recollected. Let's join the quiz. I'll give everyone a few seconds here. Okay. Getting close to everyone. Special cost signal, the process is shifted, that's right, so more than 6 points. All right, great. 9 consecutive points on one side of the center line is the special cause rule. All right, so now this is our the last breakout session that we're gonna have time for, because we only have like 10 minutes left. We have 3 different data stories, and around the room is one story. So I think some of us were taking a look at that as project ideas for the prompt workshops. So definitely, like, we have got one on surgeries, surgical site infections, medication errors, and patients in the outpatient clinic who have blood pressure at control, the percentage. So this is gonna, everyone work in groups of a few people and read the chart, write the 1-line story, or in your mind, tell the 1-line story. The data shows blank, so we should do blank. And then what would you do with that information? If it's getting better, then what's your next move? If it's getting worse, what's your next move, or you don't know yet? So signal, something's shifted or changed. Noise, this is not real improvement, or we just need to see we need some more information. And then we will talk about, so I'll leave this up here for the online audience. Please put your thoughts in the chat, and then we'll talk for a few minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll close up and then do questions, okay? Thank you guys so much.
You guys stay in.
Oh, it does look.
But not like- It's not yet. They're not sure. I want to see the word. It's like, the big thing is like.
I don't really know either. It's not yet.
Outside of their.
If it's signal wasn't not yet, I'll go to 3. I feel like it's
I think it's
signal not yet.
I think it's just, I guess I don't know the answer, but like with peak.
Based on
the peaks
no
or not, I
solid
guess
knowledge at all.
I would say,
I wonder if it's so far. I'm thinking. That has.
Yeah, like we have this much. That looks like a one-off versus that looks like a trend that stayed the same.
Yeah.
Like after the change.
Yeah.
And then the other one looks like.
Because it's
Not that much higher, just every point with the trend. That's fine. Yes, I was.
This is like a. It's like a standard deviation to one side versus the other.
Yeah, this is,
So-
it can change.
They're
Yeah,
kind of
that was
like
one.
how to change it up. It's not like
I don't know.
100% scientific,
What
but
was
it's
that? Not a lot.
until it's before that. You got one foot above that.
I was on back of last, and I had to get called it off.
6 points above
I
the center
thought
line.
for
That's
sure.
5 or 6. That's what we said, okay.
They did on Sunday nights, but on Mondays. I don't know. Then I was on Saturday. So I have those.
I was on.
This one would be great, you might say.
Yeah. And then I go, why would you wanna go? Like, oh my God. Mentally, I.
No, but I saw that. What's in that second dose?
Yeah, I mean,
It's changing so. I got, it's actually pretty funny. I got.
I'm like, what's going
We'll talk about it, that it does show or could be additional. I think this is a signal. Left one piece, to the right, leave the center beat noise, cause right after it's kind of like.
Sorry, I'll do it.
I think so. Yeah, it's like, yeah.
The one is just the random.
Yeah.
Okay, this has been so great. Thank you so much, everybody. Great discussion from the teams. I'm gonna bring everybody back just in the interest of time because I know we're running really short. And we're just gonna report out the skin and soft tissue infection rate. I just did this with the group up front. Would we say signal, noise, or not yet? Is this a real signal? It really fixed the problem, or is it noise, or not yet? Signal, okay. Yes, this is a special cause. It's a shift, which means we talked about this can actually, you can move your center line down. The process is moved to a new level and stay there to change work. Sustain, we talked about like, this is where a lot of projects lose momentum. Let's say the intervention was piloting on floor 5, we're going to do CHG bats for all patients on surgical day, and this is a pilot program. But then sustaining it is not going to be just like everybody do it, just remember, right? Pre-clicking that order standard on pre-op order sets, that's a move that can help you sustain that and disseminate it, right? So that's the next step. All right, who has medication errors per 1,000 doses? Anybody? Go ahead.
We were saying that that is signal.
That is a signal, great, a special cause, great. And what are you gonna do about that?
Investigate.
Yes, there you go. Great, this is a signal, but it's one point that's significantly an outlier. So did something happen? Yes. Does it mean you need to change your process? Would you change your process overall based on that? No, it means investigate like what happened on that day. Was there a new person training? Was there equipment that was down that you need to know about in case it happens again, but probably not something that you need to change your whole process for, right? Great. BP control, anybody? There's somebody from here, anybody? Go ahead.
You said not yet.
Not yet, okay, and why?
Because there's 3 points that are above the line, which is like trending in the right direction, but not enough to say that it's a significant change.
Great, exactly. Awesome, that is perfect. And remember, like these specific numbers, you can always look this up. Don't feel like you have to memorize it after you leave this room. But visually, you can see like this is like a humility check, right? It looks like everything is going in the right direction. Doesn't mean that it's not, but it doesn't mean that it is yet, right? So what would you do for this process?
Just continue what we have been doing.
Right, yeah,
And get more data.
perfect. You implemented a change. It looks like the change may be working, but we're not sure yet. We're gonna give it more time before we decide whether we're gonna add another intervention, redo this intervention, things like that. Great job. This is awesome. We have run out of time. I'm just gonna leave you with this. When we talked about the sustaining piece, that is something that is really tough to do in practice. So as you think about like you've analyzed your data and what would that next piece be? The process always has a tendency to decay towards baseline unless you bake in sustainability into your process. So be thinking about that from the beginning. This has been great. We're gonna skip ahead to a couple of things that I want to point out before we close for questions. The fellows have a boot camp on November 4th for QI that Dr. Kramer is gonna be leading. And then faculty for all of our faculty projects, PSQs, QAPIs for nursing leadership. There's a QAPI and PSQ retreat on October 30th. So we will see you all there at one of these events, and we will keep going into this.